wanted to talk to you about the Mueller report. You're a journalist, and this is me trying to reach out to journalists, recognizing the limits of my own abilities. In this case, I come from this stuff almost as a software engineer. So I have a way of looking at the world about this stuff, but there's something to be said about actual journalists looking at the report and going through the report and reporting on it. So I've decided, hey, let's go to an actual reporter, Mr. Michael Tracey. So I have questions about the Mueller report. Now, I've gone through parts of it, and I've gone through people like Glenn Greenwald, who's gone through and kind of pieced through various aspects of it. So for the first point, collusion. Now, you had an interview with Cenk Uygur where you guys got to air your grievances.
It was a debate.
Right, a debate. Where you guys got to air your grievances. Now, your point to Uygur, and then Glenn Greenwald made this point too, boiling down to this issue of collusion, because Uygur has put a fortress around this idea that, look, mainstream media got it wrong. I wasn't with mainstream media. When I said collusion, I meant after the election, and I meant through financial dealings. And your point, and Glenn Greenwald's point,
which he misrepresented, because he had various points that I cited was talking specifically about election collusion.
But either way,
we had a debate on air at the Young Turks where he mentioned it.
No, I agree with you. He even say it helped swing the election. I remember this. I even did this video. But even giving them the benefit of the doubt, fair enough. Let's say sometime during the campaign.
It's just that he throws like everything at the wall. So he has like some modicum of plausible deniability as to his specific claims. So he claimed all kinds of things about what collusion entailed. And then when one version of it became increasingly untenable, he reverted to this other, more like amorphous notion of collusion, which nobody can really quite define.
Essentially, Fortress Uygur. It was
metaphysical collusion, or like some kind of faith-based collusion. You just past Easter, right? So it's like a religious dogma.
But the wild part about this is, even given the benefit of the doubt, Mueller even went through that, right? I mean, did the Mueller report, because I wanted to get to this bare basis of all notions of collusion, Mueller destroyed. Is that fair enough to say?
So taking the most charitable version of what Cenk now claims that he was promoting as to what defined collusion, right?
Yeah.
Mueller even went and looked at Trump's business ties predating the presidency and the presidential campaign by years, going back at least to 2013. So the Trump organization in 2013 had all kinds of real estate machinations where Don Jr. and Ivanka were dealing with the potential of coordinating with some real estate holdings company in Russia to establish a Trump enterprise there. And nothing ever came of it, but Mueller, nonetheless, even though it had zero to do with the 2016 election, went and examined in minute detail what that potential deal comprised of, to the point where Mueller even cited the percentage of sales commissions that Trump was going to receive from the licensing arrangement, right?
That's amazing.
So we know for a fact that what Cenk was saying, which is that Mueller was going to be inhibited by Republicans and Trump from looking through the Trump organization's business activities. No, that's just provably false now.
The wild part about this is, I love that. I love the fact that it's been definitively proven. And the wild part about it, even before that, though, it's like, it's a hard pill to swallow, a hard thing to believe that wouldn't be something he would look into. You know what I mean? Like the entire time, it was kind of making a point like, look, they're getting people that had nothing to do with the election. Like they were popping people, like they were going into like Papadopoulos. They were bringing up Manafort stuff.
Some of the most,
before.
Manafort and Papadopoulos, were actually key investigative focuses. But if you actually read the report and look at the footnotes and the people who were interviewed, some of them have the most tangential associations with this entire Russian interference narrative that it almost is comical. Like random operatives and like Jeff Sessions staffers who were party to a meeting that Sessions had with the ambassador Kislyak in 2016. Even they got roped in. I mean, so very, very minor players ended up becoming focused, being sought out by Mueller and his staff.
But I guess my point
is, if Mueller thought there was any possibility that some past business dealing could have had bearing on whether Trump was compromised or in some kind of collusive relationship with Russia, then he pursued it.
Exactly. That's my point. Given Cenk Uygur, the most, the most benefit of the doubt that you can give a person and say that, look, fair enough. Your position in this might have been collusion and everything else with the mainstream media. And somewhere along the way, you realized this was untenable and you might have shifted that position, but you kept the idea of collusion. And Mueller's report goes through and destroys any notion of collusion. Now, it doesn't mean Trump's not corrupt. Nobody is taking that.
That's not the point.
Right, that's not the point. The central thesis was that there was some collusion. And even by TYT's standard, that even though this might have been after the election, whatever he wants to say, Mueller went into it and said, look, there's no collusion here. Every little weird, I mean, and again, the Manafort thing, the fact that they had nothing to do with it, should have gotten it across.
Here's another important point that people should understand, okay? So you have certain people who have been the most dogged chroniclers of all things Russiagate.
Yes.
On the pro-collusion side, to oversimplify what their position is, saying that Mueller didn't technically investigate collusion because there's no federal collusion statute, right? You can't actually charge somebody under the U.S. criminal code for committing
There's
collusion.
no such thing, right?
But Mueller did explicitly state that he investigated collusion because, number one, he cited a memo that was issued by Rod Rosenstein in August of 2017, defining the parameters of the investigation to encompass collusion. And Rosenstein became the acting attorney general, essentially presiding over the special counsel investigation because Sessions had recused. Right? So Rosenstein was specifically stating that part of Mueller's central investigative charge was to prosecute any crimes that could arise from this notion of collusion. And Mueller further states, he lays out all his legal reasoning. I mean, you can read it all. It's in plain text in English, right? Not in Cyrillic. Or Cyrillic, I think is actually how you pronounce that. But
I thought it was Cerulean or something like that. But I know what you mean.
but here's what Mueller states. So Mueller actually goes into this notion of whether he investigated collusion because it's been collusion is the term that's repeated over and over in the media, and he acknowledges this. And he says, yes, collusion is not a specific offense or theory of liability found in the U.S. Code. But, he says, quote, collusion is largely synonymous with conspiracy. And conspiracy is the federal statute under which these offenses would be chargeable.
He's detailing what it is, his logic, well, his legal reasoning, let's say it that way.
So if anybody tells you Mueller didn't technically investigate collusion, they're either ignorant or they're consciously deceiving because he stated the rationale for why he was, in fact, investigating collusion in the report.
They're being disingenuous. I mean, ultimately, it's like, yes, technically, collusion is not a federal statute, but there was a synonymous thing that he was using in order to investigate it. That was a federal
And Mueller took a very expansive view of what acts could constitute conspiracy under a variety of different federal statutes. So he even looked into whether there could have been a campaign finance, quote, conspiracy as it related to the infamous Trump Tower meeting in June of 2016, which he exhaustively investigated every single aspect of because the question was whether Trump Jr.'s willingness to take a thing of value from this foreign national could have been a conspiracy along with Kushner and Manafort to violate federal campaign finance statutes.
He was looking.
But the thing that was received was of no value at all.
Right. Right. Well, I guess your point is they were being aggressive. They were aggressively pursuing him.
Yes.
This wasn't a situation where they were being.
By the way, side note.